Good evening. It's opening night of the Toronto International Film Festival. My name is Tom Powers. I'm the documentary programmer for the festival. Let me say some important thank yous to our lead sponsor, Bell, and our major sponsors, RBC, Bulgari, and Visa, for their continued support. I want to thank our government supporters, the Government of Ontario, Telefilm Canada, and the City of Toronto. And I want to thank Dogwolf for providing us with this film. This is my 18th year at the festival. In my 20s, which was a long time ago, I lived in Detroit, and I used to drive up to Toronto for the festival and spend 3 days and just be transported to places all over the world. And it has been an honor and a privilege to serve in this role for the last 18 years and to see audiences like you encounter great films like this one. So this week, if you're looking for stars at the festival, take a look at the documentary program. The documentaries throughout the festival have names you'll recognize, like Lil Nas X and Paul Simon, who are both going to be here this weekend for films about them. There are other extraordinary figures who don't usually frequent film festivals, like the writer Dr. Ibram X. Kendi, who's here for the film Stamped from the Beginning, and the mountain climber Lakpa Sherpa, who's here this weekend for Mountain Queen. Some of these people you may not know when you sit down to watch their films, but you'll certainly know them afterwards. And that's true of a couple Danish football players who you're going to meet in this film and who are going to join us afterwards for a Q&A. This is the first film that I invited this year. I got to see it in spring, and I've been waiting for several months to welcome to the stage the directors, Rachel Ramsey and James Erskine.
Hello. Good evening. Firstly, obviously, thank you, Tom, and all of the TIFF programming team for the honor of being the opening documentary here this evening, and for supporting us and championing us so much so far.
Yeah, we also want to thank all the other people that have supported us to bring this film here, the UK Global Screen Fund, and our the production companies and financiers, New Black Films, Dogwolf, and Westbrook Studios. And also our executive producers, who can't be here tonight, Serena and Venus Williams and Alex Morgan, and especially Victoria Gregory, the producer who came up with the original idea for the movie.
Yeah, thank you, Victoria. I think more than anything, the really remarkable women from all over the world whose story you're going to see tonight and who entrusted us to tell it. So yes, I think that's it. Enjoy.
You're the first audience in the world to see Copa 71. All right, it's my pleasure to bring out the producing and directing team. Please welcome producer Victoria Gregory, and welcome back the directors Rachel Ramsey and James Erskine.
Hello, thank you so much, everybody. It's been an absolute honor to be here. Thank you, Tom. And it's an even greater honor that we have Birte and Anne in the audience with us. They've flown all the way from Denmark for this.
Please stand up.
Birte and Anne, will you come and join us?
World Cup winners.
Here they are, yeah. World champions,
Champions of the world.
1971. Also, they haven't seen the film yet. This is the first time they've watched the film. How are you feeling?
I have my gold medal here.
Oh,
I have my gold. Yeah. I have my
Gold
I
medal.
have my little gold medal here.
Great. Thank you so much for being here. I also want to spotlight a few of the other people that worked on the film, including our producers, Anna Godas and Janet Gargi. If you can please stand up. And executive producers, Isha Price and Caroline Correa.
We also have some of the creative team with us here. Clee Savage, our wonderful music supervisor, who got us that cracking soundtrack. And Angela, Angela Neal, our lead cinematographer. And Professor Jean Williams, where are you? Could you please stand up? There she is. So Jean has been researching this for many years, and it's on her shoulders and people like her around the world that we are able to put together a film like this. So thank you so much, Jean.
So Victoria, as the producer, let me start with you because you're the person who uncovered this story and brought it to the directing team. Can you talk about how you first heard about this historic event?
Yes, we were here actually in 2018 with Maiden, which is a sort of female-empowered story, and we were looking for the next story, the next journey, if you like. And my husband had listened to a radio show and rang me up and went, "I think you need to listen to this because it's truly unbelievable, and probably somebody's done it, but it's worth listening to." And that's how the journey began, because nobody had, and it was just like, how? Why? And I just couldn't get over it. So yeah, we started on this journey, got together with Rachel, James, my producing partner in New Black Films. We got Jean involved, and during COVID, we set about finding all these amazing ladies in the story, and that's how it began.
So Rachel, can you give me a time perspective of how long you've been working on this? And I think you told me when you first started working on this that this event did not even have a Wikipedia entry.
Yeah, that's one of my favourite lines at the moment. Is that so Victoria called and said, "Have you heard about this?" And I said, "No." And we've been developing, researching sports feature docs for a long time, and we really hadn't had anything. And there really wasn't a Wikipedia entry, and there is now, and it's very extensive. We didn't write it, but we're really glad that just in the last 3 years, it was a real struggle to get people to pay attention to what we wanted to do 3 years ago, and just how much things have changed in that time is incredible. But yeah, so around, I think, it was just, we remember writing the first treatment for it around the beginning of lockdown, and it was also meant that we could get hold of a lot of the women that we were looking for, because everyone was at home, wherever they were in the world. So organising Zooms cross continents and things was actually slightly easier than maybe it would have been otherwise.
So James, one part of this was getting the incredible women to speak, but another part is telling the story visually. Can you talk about what it took to get all the images that we see in the film?
Sure. I mean, the first thing it took was a lot of work and a lot of people. Actually, the thing about this is footage is, by almost none of it's been seen for 50 years. We live in a very mediated age where things get repeated and repeated, but, in the 1970s, things didn't, and things got put away, like we saw with Summer of Soul. So we had to spend a lot of time and effort and get teams in many, many countries: Mexico, Italy, Germany, France, even to piece open the opening, the sequence around 20 minutes in, where the first women's football sequence. That's probably taken from 12 different countries. Just to get enough film footage of women playing football. Yeah, so it was a huge amount of work and some great luck along the way with some collectors.
I would just add, given saying that we were getting that particular sequence with the Boots Are Made for Walking soundtrack, is that coming from all those countries, it is proof of how much this was a subculture happening across the world. In the 60s, it was exploding everywhere. It wasn't just one place, and that's what we really wanted to show with this.
So Anne, let me ask you, when the filmmakers reached out to you and said that, we want to tell this story, what did you think?
I think it was great because, in a way, we think it was forgotten. It was something happened many years ago, and now things will come through again. And it was a big experience when Rachel come to us to Denmark, and we had a nice talk, and then I forgot time. We speak, and suddenly I was back in Mexico, and I think Rachel felt the same. Maybe a little of this, how we experienced it in '71.
Birto, so this is the first time you and Anne were seeing the film. What has that experience been like the last 90 minutes?
It was very emotional, and it was lovely to be back. When we saw the Italian team, I couldn't stop laughing because it was just as we saw it on the field. Italy was very special. But I think I could like to say, what now? What shall we do now? Are we at the end? Are women's football accepted? Do we have the same conditions and everything as the men? We have just seen in the World Cup this year, we saw the Spanish team. And in Danish we say it was the backside of the medal. That what we saw. And the question is, are we going to copy the men? Or will we take our own way? I really hope that women will find their own way. And I hope the love to football, I know you say soccer, that the love to football will shine over every match, even you are playing on the national team, or even you, just like my granddaughter, 9 years old, playing in the local club. The love to football. Please.
Rachel, it's quite extraordinary watching all the women in this film reach back 50 years ago and the clarity of the memories they have. How much of that was prompted by you showing them things? How much of it is just at the foreground of their memory still?
So a lot of the footage, a lot of the different angles that you get during the matches, we didn't actually find until very, very late. So most of those interviews were done before we even had, the vast majority of that footage. And we made a decision not to show them footage, and we wanted to ask, what do you remember? And how can we cut that together? And if people's memories weren't exactly the same, we thought that wouldn't matter. It's how people remember. But their memories were the same. It was so clear. And the emotions were there, and the play, they remember exactly the competitiveness, remembering exactly who they're playing against or who they're tackling, and how hard the tackles were. And they weren't prompted. They weren't shown footage in the way that we showed Brandy and Alex, for example, footage. It all came very much from, and they were very long interviews, each one, and they're cut right down. But yes, Birte hasn't forgiven me for the couple of hours that she had to spend on camera still.
Anne and Birte, what was it like hearing from the other women who I take it you have not been in touch with for 50 years, hearing their perspectives on this event?
I think it was quite emotional because, they felt the same like we did, and, they played football with their heart too. I think, like Birte said, I think it will be different with women. I think they will still have their heart in this game, and you can see it was very nice to see those players talk about this tournament. And I think women will go on playing football with their heart and not thinking so much of money and everything. But use their heart.
Money's deserved to them too.
Yeah.
Let me take a couple questions from the audience. I see three men with their hands up. I mean, that's just off-brand right now. But I'm going to take that on the aisle there. Okay, so first question, where's the trophy today?
Yeah, that's a big question because we can't find it. It disappeared. We bring it to Denmark and then...
Hasn't been seen for 50 years? Or?
But it was not the real one. We only brought a copy.
Yeah.
Because the real one was too expensive, and we took a copy back home, and our captain, when we arrived at Copenhagen airport, he lifted up the copy, but now we don't know. It is wanted all over Denmark in TV, in radio, in all newspapers, but where is the cup?
Rachel, the question was about the Argentinian...
The Argentinian team it's about the structure of how we're bringing in the stories, when we were bringing in the matches, and how many people we can really cover. I think, and the Argentinian team Elba was the oldest player in the tournament. She's 86 now, who was featured. But yeah, it's a really, really tough choice.
And the star player.
And Elba was the star player. You know, she scored 4 goals against England.
Just as we only had Nicole from France.
Yeah, the one player from France as well, Nicole, was there. It's about trying to find the balance between it all.
And last question, can you talk about your illustrious executive producing team, Alex Morgan, Venus Williams, and Serena Williams?
Yeah, no, it's absolutely fantastic having them on board. It was this is through Westbrook and through Janet that we were introduced to them, and it was their love of sport and being able to put women's sport on the map and to recognise these women as well. So we're just, it's fantastic to have them on board.
All right, who's got a question? Right there in the black? What positions did you play, Birta and Anne?
I play middle defense.
And I was goalkeeper.
Very good goal. I like the way you said that.
All right, here in the pink.
So, you guys said that it was the biggest attended women's sports game ever. And I know there was a bit about how they really marketed it, the entire event. Like, just from experience and research, like, what did they do to, like, get so many people out?
So he's asking about the attendance, and I'll follow up with another question about the attendance. But starting with his question, what happened that such a large group of people came out?
I think the phrase is "build it and they will come." They put it on, and they used the infrastructure from the 1970 Men's World Cup the year before. They didn't choose to change anything. They still charged ticket prices. We have all the original ticket stubs. We found the original posters. People were paying to come in. It was set out. It was there.
So the other part of the question about attendance, just this past week, there was news articles in the New York Times and other places that an attendance record had just been set for women's sports. A volleyball game in Nebraska that had 92,000 spectators come out for it. That's 92,000. The film talks about 110,000 people at Azteca Stadium. Seems like a piece of history is missing here.
Well, yeah, a piece of history's been missing for 50 years. We're putting it back, I mean, I remember when we spoke to the press officer for the US women's team, national women's team, who's been in the job for many years and considers himself an expert and is a really great guy. We've worked with him a few times, and he didn't believe the attendance. We had to show him footage, And you know, there were 112,000 people at the Men's World Cup in 1970, and that was a sellout crowd, and this was also a sellout crowd. So, yeah, I mean, hopefully the film will help correct history.
Yeah, they just haven't watched it yet.
All right, take one more question. Who's someone new? Who's got? All right, I'll go with you.
This is for filmmakers, but could be anybody really. So early in the introductory part, we learned that medical experts of the time decided it's unhealthy for women to play football. Did you learn anything more about it? Did you know more anything from your research about it? What was that about?
So if anyone back in here, there was a mention early on that people thought it was medically unhealthy for women to play football. Can you bring any more context to that thought, thinking at the time?
Yeah, I think, that's not exclusive to football. It's about control. It's about what women should and shouldn't be doing with their bodies, and whether they should be, whether it's playing football, many other sports, doing anything that's outside of the space that was considered the norm or considered what should be done, then that's where they were hitting problems. And so all sorts of excuses made. But I think what we want to say about a lot of the things in this film is you could replace the word football or the idea with a lot of other things. It's not, as Anne says in the film as well, it's not just about football, it's about many things.
So you're the first audience to see Copa 71. It has another screening tomorrow night. Tell people about it. This is one of the films that is coming to the festival without distribution yet, and so your enthusiasm for the film as it carries outside this theater can make a big difference in the film's future life. I hope you get to see a lot more documentary films over the next 10 days of the festival. Thank you for coming. Thanks especially to James, Rachel, Birta, Victoria, and Anne.